Ladies and gentlemen, people and germs, we do greatly apologize for keeping you all at bay. Okay, we hate nothing more than vessels that are just anchored out because we need to get those cans off the water, and we hate to be that vessel to you all. So, welcome back to the Dray Junkies. This is episode 21. We got a pretty interesting conversation today. So, if you're tuning in just now or in the future, please share this because we're going to need to get some insight. This is a very, very untalked about thing, but Mr. Dirty Dray over here has been dealing with it. You see the name, damaged containers, who's to blame? So stay tuned, kick it back, get ready to relax. Let's crush some cans. This is Dray Junkies. Dirty Dray, how you doing, my friend?
I think I'm doing better than you, sir. I do.
Safe to say.
So if everybody doesn't realize, number one, Hunter's feeling a little bit under the weather. Number two, you can see his setup is a little bit different than normal. So he's in the works of relocating his studio.
Well, my office chair broke in half, so that's a fun thing. And yeah, moving sucks, and having a brand new puppy. Waking up this morning sick, go to get some medicine, come back, my shoes chewed up, my power got shut off because I didn't get to transfer yet. But we're transferred back now, so the only thing we got to worry about is my Wi-Fi, which is, that's par for the course, man. That's been before time, so But hey, I am glad to be back though, dude. It is the power of the media group, man. Dray's Junkies Lounge, whatever it is. I swear, you get on the show and you get a little oomph about you, man. Makes me it's like kick-starting an old car or something like that, man. Push me down the hill, I'll get it going. But good to be back here with you, brother. I am very excited and interested to get into your story with what you're dealing with today. It's something that I've never even really thought about. We've talked about it beforehand, but now, I remember you were kind of excited about the project, oh yeah, this would be something cool, man. Because I remember you showed me the ramp that you built and everything, and yeah, finding out that you're still dealing with it. What, 2 weeks? Is this 2 weeks in the process now?
Yeah, well, from the beginning when it was originally damaged, yeah, and that was part of the reason why we had to cancel the show last Tuesday, because I was in the midst of actually working the delivery at the time the show was going to go on. So yeah, it's just interesting. So I thought it'd be a great conversation to have, with the viewers, and hopefully we can get some people to chime in on it because, if you've never have experienced it, or if you've only experienced it from the carrier side and not experienced it from the broker side, it's a little bit different. So we've had damaged containers in the past on the carrier side of it, but now being on the broker side of it as well, having, the full control over the customer is a little bit different on this side. And I think just diving a little bit deep into this and just, curious to see and hear the feedback from our fellow junkies.
That's right. Well, before we get into that, let me know. Why is it not showing this page? Hold on. Share this tab. Can you see the tab there?
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you kick it off since you're about to go.
No, I was just going to. Yeah, I was just going to say, before we got started, I wanted to kick off with some news, and I just wanted to bring to light, and Hunter, you actually do a really good job with news. I'll let you kick it off, but let's talk about our friend Steve, Redneck Trucker.
Yeah, so news, as always, brought to you by truckingnewshub.com, and what goes better with news than anything else? That would be Road Dog Coffee. But a good friend of ours and a lot of people in this industry, Mr. Stephen Myers, also known as the Redneck Trucker, had a very bad incident happen the other day. He was sleeping in the cab of his Kenworth right here, as you can see. Can you see that, Stephen? Did it pull up the picture?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it is beautiful. I believe he had a W900, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he was sleeping in his cab. By the grace of God, he woke up, thought he heard someone knocking at the door, and he got out of his sleeper, looked in there, and looked into his cab, and his truck had sparked fire. He got out with only the clothes on his back, from what I've been told. And if you know that man, he always has his phone on him, and even his phone got destroyed in the process. So he does have a GoFundMe started. We'll share the link, but it's Support Redneck Trucker. We can actually share this on our page after the fact. But if you guys don't know him, or if you do know him, you know how much of a staple he is in this community. He's a crazy guy, but at the same time, he is the type of person that'll give the shirt off your back. So any little thing you can to do to help, like I said, yeah, you can come here to truckernewshub.com. It is actually pinned at the top of the page, so you don't have to search for it. From the ashes, let's help a trucker rebuild. So yeah, it's a tragic thing, but you know, blessed to still have him here with us. So any little bit helps. I know I've seen a lot of our friends give. I think the lounge gave a couple $100, but yeah, any little bit helps, and share it out, because that's his livelihood. I mean, he drives that truck 2 shows, and he's a hardworking man. So Steve, I'll let you touch on that a little bit more, because you also are.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I mean, number one, if anybody knows him, right, you know that if this was anybody, any of us having this issue, he'd be the first one out there promoting for us and trying to help us get back on our feet. So, like a lot of truck, independent operating owners out there, rates have been low, and sometimes you have to cut costs. And unfortunately, in this case, he only had liability insurance on this truck. So he doesn't have the insurance to actually cover, the replacement of this. So with him not working, obviously, the GoFundMe set up to help him. And our friends over at UCI, Jessica and Natasha, are actually the one that set this up for him.
Really?
I
didn't know that.
Yeah. So huge shout out to them for getting this started. But he, Redneck's like Hunter said, right? He's a staple, man, in this industry, and he's always out there to help businesses promote their businesses. And I know just in the stuff he's helped me with over the short time. So great guy, and I think it goes without saying that we are so extremely thankful that he is still with us. Because if you actually, there's a couple of Facebook links down at the bottom where he actually kind of tells the story a little bit, and you'll be able to, the emotion, because he was sleeping in the back of that thing, and he heard somebody knock on his sleeper, and when and it got up, and he opened up his curtain, and there was literally flames coming from the floorboard of his truck, and he had to dive out the driver's side window, or the driver's side door, with nothing but what he had on him. So he was shoeless, his phone, his birth certificate, his driver's license, and if everybody follows him and knows him, right, he's got a lot of cool toys, right? He's got funky hats you've seen him wear, drones, all that stuff. Well, being an influencer, all that stuff was in the truck, right? So he lost his truck, he lost all that, but thankfully he's still with us, and by the grace of God, because when he got out of the truck, there was nobody standing next to that sleeper.
Right.
He was there by himself. So somebody came by and knocked on that sleeper, and probably the angels from above, and he was able to get out. So do your part. Yeah, do your part. And like I said, like Hunter said, $20, $15, $5, whatever you can do to help out, would be extremely grateful.
Yep, even a simple share. But Clint, thanks for tuning in, brother. Yeah, I mean, Clint from Shoreline Capital. Quick little plug here. It might not be the most appropriate time, but hey, Shoreline Capital, it's all family. Yeah, everybody go out and share, and just take care of your fellow trucker. The one thing that we hear the most at all these truck shows that we go to is the disappearing factor of brotherhood and camaraderie. And someone like Steven, who, this is his house. That's his business. That's, everything that he owns, and he is passionate about it. Up in flames. So yeah, we'll definitely share that out. But I guess to flip it on another gear, let me pull up a picture real quick so we can talk about the blasphemy of these steamship lines and the shenanigans they're trying to pull over good friends.
Can you pull the other one over real quick first? Sorry.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Let me.
So to kind of put this in content, and like I said, I think one of the greatest things about this show is the fact that I got some real, real live events that happen that kind of give us some stuff to talk about. So this container right here was picked up by one of our drivers, one of the Cleves Logistics drivers, and as soon as it put it on the chassis, drivers walking around, and you can see that gaping gap, and it's hard to really see it in this picture, but there wasn't a whole lot. There wasn't a whole many more lifts left in this container before the whole bottom of this thing kind of fell out. And we got a little bit of feedback, Hunter.
Oh, that's probably me because I don't have my mic set up here.
Okay, thanks. So this container here was loaded with granite slabs, and you'll see that in the next picture we'll show here in a minute. But as soon as the driver came around, he definitely identified the fact that this was not, roadworthy, road safe, because the bottom of this container is literally given out. And if anybody, for those of you that haul containers, you know that there's not a ton of structure underneath the port chassis, right? I mean, you got your center, you got your axles in the front and the back, but in the side of these things, there's not a ton of structure. I mean, the container itself is the structure. So we immediately had it, removed. When they actually came over to take it off, that's when we really saw that gap right there got pretty significantly larger as it was being lifted off, to the point that the port didn't even pick it up off the and put it back in a stack. Obviously, they had a top lift, heavy lift, whatever you want to call it, the forklift. They came over and picked it up and just set it on the ground. So there started the what and I've been on it from the carrier side before. We've had damaged containers. This is the first time we've experienced it from the broker side. So this is what you'd call the claim process, right? So, and I'm going to do my best not to name the steamship lines. I'm just going to call it steamship lines because I don't know what the practices are amongst all of them. If this happened to just be a bad case of something, I'm not really sure, right? But we're not here to slam anybody. It's really just to talk content of, is this the industry standard, and do we need to, as an industry, do they need to do better at this, right? So we started the claim process, and the last free day of this container was actually the next day after this right here happens. We had one more day to get this container out. So they started the process. They filed a claim with the steamship line, and there was just no return call. There was no return email. It was like, hey, this happened. They had everybody on there, and nobody was responding back. There was nothing. There was no communication back whatsoever. And we had to keep emailing back, adding more people to it from the steamship line. At one point in time, I called the steamship line as the broker. I was helping out the customer, and they told me that, oh yeah, there's been a claim filed, and here's your person. This person should be getting back to you. A few more days went by till finally somebody responded back, and they said that that they were going to, their immediate, and this was about 4 days after the initial. At this point, it's already in demurrage, and they said that they were going to repair, the port was going to repair the container. Now, if anybody knows, this thing's loaded with, again, like I said, granite slabs. So, and granite slabs have wood around them. You got a wood floor, and the only way you're going to fix this thing is to weld it. Not real sure if how you're going to fix this thing with it loaded. But they claimed they were going to fix the port was going to fix the container. Few days went by, then they asked us for pictures of what was the content that was in there and how was it loaded. So we sent them pictures. A few days later went by again. Customers waiting for their product, right? A few days went by again. They finally emailed back and said, okay, we're not going to fix it. Go ahead and schedule, a low boy to have this thing picked up and delivered to the customer. No problem. Well, a low boy, as anybody knows, right? A low boy is not going to back up to a dock. So you got to have something to take it off the dock and put it on the ground. So you're going to have to rent a crane. The same customer, we had this happen about 8-9 months ago. It's probably about a year ago. There was a different, somebody else was calling on at that time, and we rented a crane. I think the total bill ended up being somewhere to the tune of like almost $5,000 by the time they were done with the crane, because the crane's like about $3,000, and then you're looking at anywhere from you know, because they have to sit there all day, right? Because you got to drop this thing on the ground. So I decided, you know, hey, we'll use an RGN. Our friend actually out of Gauge, Mike. So you remember him from, I don't know, was that episode 2? So I called him, and he hooked me up with Warren. And Warren was great driver, had, you know, really nice RGN. He was like, hey, I'll take care of you. I got you. So we loaded it up, and we had a plan, because by using the RGN, we were able to disconnect from the front of it. You can see here our little makeshift ramp that we made. That was a very strong piece of metal right there that we used for that ramp. I mean, a forklift was literally able to drive up and down there pulling containers off, or pulling these heavy granite slabs off, and it didn't even bend. So we created a plan, right? It was safe, because what I can tell you is when Warren went to pick this container up at the port, they wouldn't even lift that thing to go over the wheel wells in the back. Like, he literally they lifted it just enough for him to pull up, and then they drove it into him. That's how much of a gap was opening on this container from the bottom of it. So there wasn't any more lifts in there, right? And then that was again a fear that I didn't want to get this container to the customer, go and lift it with a crane, and they have the bottom of it, you know, give out, and now you got granite all over the parking lot. So we came up with this idea right here, and it saved the customer, it saved the steamship line significant amount of money, because we didn't use a crane. The carrier that we brought in, he gave me a rate for all day, right? Because we didn't know how long it was going to take, right? We're makeshifting a ramp. We got to use a little bit more caution, you know, it could take a little bit while, right? So I didn't want to get it to the point where it was, you know, hey, let's hurry up, let's speed this up. Let's work unsafe, because, you know, we've only got 2-3 hours before we're going to go into detention. So the guy gave me all day. He's like, I'll be there at, you know, 9 o'clock when they open, and you have all day. I'm not going to return it till the next day. So you got all day. So it really helped us out, taking our time unloading it. So yeah, we ended up getting it unloaded. All was good. Kept following back up with the steamship line, like, hey, you know, here's the invoice. You know, can we get confirmation, you know, that you're going to pay this? You know, what's the process for getting reimbursed for this? And immediately it started with, you know, well, that's too much. We're not going to cover that much. Okay, well, you know, so we had to go through the whole process with them. But I'm going to pause there for a minute, Hunter. You can go ahead and come off mute, because here's where I want to pause before I go a little bit farther into kind of where we're at today with it. The comment that was made was, it's part of doing business and shipping. So if anybody's listening, anybody wants to chime in with a comment, a question, some feedback, if you're a customer and you go to Walmart, you go to Dick's, you go to Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever, and you buy something and that is damaged, you can return it, right? With shipping containers, you can't return them, right? You can't refuse them. Your product is in there. And if they're not going to make it whole to actually cover the cost of now getting that damaged container delivered safely, because we want to highlight safely on this part, right? Because somebody could have picked that container up, left it on a chassis, and delivered it the way that it was, and it could have made the news for having a catastrophic, you know, issue on the highway because the container gave out on the highway. So it was delivered safely. It was unloaded safely. But now we're going to question a couple $100 that it costs doing this versus, you know, hiring a crane and whatnot. So I'd love to get your feedback, Hunter, number one, right?
Yeah. So, go on.
No. I opened it up. I want to.
All right,
I want to get your feedback.
dude, just on the research I've done, it is mind blowing that it all comes back to how the steamship line is going to be reimbursed for this container. So from what I've read, now if it's damaged from the ocean, so they're gonna hire a maritime inspector. So I'm looking up ocean. So I have ocean conditions here, and then I also just have general damage. So there's notification and documentation. So the steamship line is going to appoint somebody to take over the claim, I guess, like the person you're dealing with, get the pictures, get the documentation, and then they don't look at, oh, well, maybe this container is just 15 years old and it's probably just rusted out, or, just general wear and tear from being on the high seas. No, they look at the shipper, the ports, the carrier, everybody else. And it blows me. This is like the first thing that popped in my mind. That'd be like a freaking truck driver, like having just like general road wear and going back and invoicing the shipper or the broker
Hmm.
because of like you own that property, you own that asset, that equipment. But but to be $1 billion conglomerate, $1 billion company, and just once again putting it back on the little guys, it's insane. It's insane. And just looking through the claim process, I mean, it's like it's almost like a murder trial with everything that goes on, and everybody knows who's at fault here. I mean, granted, like, yeah, sure, if you're on the highway, you know, with a loaded container and your driver gets in a wreck, that's a whole different situation. But the fact that repair and cost, I mean, it's like the chassis pools, like we've been talking about before, man. It's freaking like, why should I be responsible for bad tires, busted lights, rust? Like, these are things like, if you own those assets and I'm renting it from you, could you imagine going to a car rental company and taking that car that's clearly rusted out, but that's the only one they have left, and the minute you pull off the lot, they're going to hit you with an invoice?
Right? Yeah. Right.
I mean, in all reality, dude. And it's insane. I mean, and what you're talking about, like with just the general cost, that's one of their biggest things. If it's an older container, they're gonna they de-appreciate the value of the container itself. But I mean, we're still talking about thousands of dollars here. I mean,
Hmm.
you're and they're not helping you out. You're literally having here to build freaking ramps in your buddy's yard just to accommodate this thing, and they're still giving you slack. And the biggest response is, "Oh, well, that's just the game,
The
buddy."
comment, yeah, the comment in the email was literally, and again, I'm on there, the customer's on there, the freight forwarder's on there. I mean, there's like 30 people on this email by now, right? And it's been going back and forth for weeks. But when the email came back that said, it is the cost of doing business in shipping. And I was like, and again, we're not talking huge amounts here. And again, we could have done, I mean, just to hire, I could have hired a crane. A crane for a day would have been right at about $2,500 to $3,000 to have the crane there, right? I could have had, two rotators from a tow truck company come and get it off of that, for maybe a little bit cheaper. But then at some point, it would have had to got put back on, or a tow truck come and get it, a flatbed come and get it to load it back up. There's so many different, avenues. But I don't even know if it would have came off this 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 RGN. I don't even know if it would have came off safely. I mean, when you looked at the side of the metal, there was a very small piece of metal that was left of holding this thing together from the whole thing just letting loose. But the funny part is, I say funny because it's not really funny, but they won't even tell us how much they will cover, right? So they're just like, well, sorry, that's not the cost of a low boy trailer in our system. We need, you need to re-invoice this at a different cost. Okay. So what do I drop it down $10 and re-invoice? Do we drop it down $100 and re-invoice? Like, what? At what point? Because they won't even tell you, like, hey, here's how much we're willing to pay for it. So at least we have a number to go off of to then come back, right? So it's a game. It's an absolute game of what's going on with it, right? And I think the customer at one point was like, hey, let's just leave it there. Let's not even pick it up. And I said, you know, I don't know if that would have been the smartest thing to do, because if that thing could have still been sitting there in demurrage right now, because we've had customers that have gotten ticked off at customs stuff before and haven't picked up containers, and they've let them sit there for months and wound up having $10,000 bills to pick containers up because they've been in demurrage. Like, you can't fight
Yeah.
the system. You can't fight the system, right? It's like, hey, unless you're just a one and done kind of person that's not planning on shipping anything else again, then yeah, you can leave it there and have an outstanding bill and probably never collect on it. I don't know, but
So for your driver, so when he picked it up, the container was already damaged.
yeah. So that original picture. So that when you go back to the other picture, that was our. And I got to give the guy credit, right? Because this is actually the new guy that we hired, that we just added on. So I love the fact that he actually, walked around and looked for damage and made sure that he didn't just start driving on the road. This was on our truck, our truck and our chassis originally when you picked it up. He's literally like 10 feet right now from the 10,
yeah,
15
you can
feet.
see the
Yeah,
the specs over there.
yeah, we're still in the row, right? He didn't go far. He was literally just pulled ahead to pin the corners of it, and then when he was walking around, he saw this, so it immediately came right back off. And then at that point, we ended up hiring another company that had an RGN, thanks to the recommendation of our friend out of Gage, Mike. Um, he recommended somebody that took care of us. Warren took care of us, the driver that actually owned the RGN that did it. But yeah, so I mean, if this wasn't caught and somebody didn't pay attention to this and just literally zipped it, I mean, you can see right there that's a pretty decent sized gap in that. And when it's actually being lifted, that thing expands like literally like to like a couple feet. It's crazy how much
Yeah, I mean the structural integrity,
structure
man. They
is
aren't
gone.
just cans, bro. They're
Yeah.
cans. Like they're like it's a joke to say crushing cans, but I mean, and especially shipping granite, dude. That is like, I mean, that's. I mean, how much weight is in that?
They're about 58,000 pounds
Yeah,
of
not light by any
yeah.
means. But see, here's the thing, though, and like I guess kind of going back to it, like did the port step in at any point and like say, hey, maybe like because from another thing I'm reading. So like I said, I looked up the just general damage to a container, but I also looked into if the container is damaged off the vessel, like that can't fall on your hands. But they're saying there should be an EDI or like the steamship line should be they should be notified immediately, and then there should be an inspection process right then and there that starts this whole thing. So like I like the fact that they let you leave with that thing is honestly kind of crazy. Have you thought about confronting the port about this? Like, what was that process when, like, I mean, your guy gets out, he says, "Wow, this container is messed up." So, like, what was that in between time? Like, I mean, was he able to leave the terminal and just go park somewhere and have your buddy come and get him, or?
What this right here, this container came off our chassis within probably 15 minutes of it going on there. So we never left the terminal with this, with the way we're sitting right now. We never left the terminal with this. We are literally, like I said, 10 feet, maybe 20 feet from the
Yeah,
actual crane that put it on the chassis, that took it off the stack and put it on the chassis. And then it literally came right back off and went back they left it on the ground. They didn't lift it and put it, but they came, actually we had to drive around the corner because they had us put it in a different location. But then they took it off with a top lift and just had, I think they call them a heavy lift, and they put it down. They just left it on the ground, so it never got put back in the stack. It just left on the ground. But no, we never actually outgated this container as it sits right now. And then like about a week and a half later, when we actually then got it on the RGN, yeah, then we came in with that other trailer. Warren came in and picked it up on the trailer that on the RGN that you see in the next picture.
yeah. So
But they would have let us leave with it. they
I
would have
know,
let
but
us
like,
leave.
what do the ports say though? I mean, like, even like having to come in there and get an RGN, like, I understand, like, unloading it would be like a pain in the butt, but did they advise you on any sort of like, hey, like, here's what the claim process is going to look like? Because I
Now the
mean,
port,
from what,
yeah, the port doesn't have anything to do with the claim process. Now the port's copied on it. They're included in there, but the process is through the steamship lines. So again, back to a lot of the question of that people asked. The ports are very limited on their interactions that they have with this stuff. The steamship lines own a lot of this process. With when it comes to anything to dealing with these containers, the ports are just that. They're just terminals where this stuff just happens to just sit for a little bit till it goes to its next destination. Could a clamp truck transfer the slabs? So that was the other thing. So Kip, great crustings, Kip, by the way.
yeah, thanks for
Um,
tuning in, brother.
yeah, so that was actually one of the things too. Was they were going to unload it at the terminal. Was actually the port was actually going to unload it there, and then we were going to send one of the trucks, one of the clamp trucks, to actually come over there and pick it up from there, like live, but the port didn't actually even want to mess with actually unloading it because again, it was going to cost them a lot of money to rent the equipment that was going to have to come in to unload this thing because they don't have the equipment at the port to unload these slabs. So, but
Yeah.
that was in one of the processes that was going on for the week and a half, was that they were actually going to unload it at the port, and then the customer would send over their trucks to pick it up from the port. But then immediately they realized that wasn't an option, and that so then it was, hey, come in with a low boy, pick it up with a low boy. Perfect. We'll do it. But like I said, low boys aren't going to back up to a dock that you can standard,
Yeah.
dock it, so it has to get put on the ground.
Dude, this is just.
But it's just I get things get damaged, right? I mean, let's just be real. No matter where you're at, things are going to get damaged.
Dude.
But the process of arguing with the customer of, hey, it's just part of doing business, and not allowing, not taking ownership, right? And again, I get it, right? Whose fault was it? In a case like this, I think after looking at it, right, I don't think there's a whole lot that the port itself could have done to damage this container. I mean, clearly, like you said, probably an old box.
Yeah. Well,
you can tell by
what
the
I was getting
floor
at
that
though
was.
is like the port, I mean, just letting it sit there for the week, and then when was the steamship line notified, hey, this container's busted up?
Oh, so this container came in on it was only there for like a day, but it came, that's the crazy part. Like, it came off the vessel and put right into the stack. And then it came off the stack on our truck. So I don't think there was anybody that either paid attention to it. It's crazy that nobody saw it, but I don't think it was the first time that the steamship line was they found out about it was when when the customer notified them with the claim in the pictures that we provided. That's the only pictures they have originally were the ones that we provided of it on the truck. So I'd love to, I was hoping out of the 55 people that are viewing right now that maybe somebody has experienced something similar, had something to interact with, because what would have happened. I'd love to hear an example, or if somebody has one of, hey, we refused to pick it up, right? Because
hey, actually, just speaking on this, dude, I think this would be a great what would you call it? Like a series, and we won't say any names of the specific steamship lines, but just really talk about. I mean, like we talked about demurrage and detention. It took how long for that to finally. I mean, and even the fact that has to go back on the shipper. 'Cause I mean, dude, you think about it, man. Think about port congestion and everything. Sometimes you just can't get everything, moved and put in there when it needs to. So falling on the ports. But I mean, dude, these steamship lines, I mean, this is just insane. They are fighting back against you for doing something that, I mean, dude, steamship lines hire carriers directly. They should have a process for this. I understand most of them aren't American-based companies, so they, it might not have those connections. I mean, but where's the line going to get drawn? Because I mean, it's not like every container you pull, you're making a freaking $1,000. It's a very volume.
Well, that's what I'll tell you. Yeah, that's what I'll tell you. So number one, I will say that they did cover the demurrage on it. So I will tell you that. So that when it finally got to the point where they're like, hey, port's not going to be able to fix this thing. Hey, come get it. They said, hey, how many, what's the soonest you can come get it? And they extended it out, and they released it that day. So we didn't have to pay the demurrage. Customer didn't have to pay the demurrage to get it out. So I will throw that out there. That part they did cover. They allowed us to pick the date that we were going to come get it. Once I talked to Warren, and when he scheduled it, what day he was going to come get it, and they had it available for that day. So that part of it they covered. I told you a story about about a year and a half ago, we had a similar one, different steamship line, and in that case, the steamship line covered it. Right? They found the carrier. They found the crane, and like I said, I know they used a low boy and they used a crane to take it off. They scheduled all that, right? So in a learning case like this, it's one of those things. It's like, hey, does the carrier, does the broker just stand back and make the steamship line figure it out, right? But at what cost, and who gets that cost? And I think that's kind of the conversation that I want to have is, number one, who's to blame, and who covers it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, because again, if we left it just sitting there and just said, hey, we're going to wash our hands with it, you know, customer, I'm saying we, you know, the customer says, hey, you guys figure this out, you guys bring it to me when you're ready, you know, you find the carrier, you know, you find the crane, you do all that and you bring it to me. Is the customer responsible if it sits there for too long, right? Then they start getting billed for the demurrage, right? So there's all this unwritten rules of this that they write out. They seem to write
Yeah,
out.
just a lot of gray areas. Like,
Yeah.
And dude, that's what I ran into the most early on in my career in drayage. It's just like everybody's like, yeah, just get it done. We'll figure it out on the back end. And then when it comes to the back end, it is freaking all out war. Like, you know, a simple document, you know, like thank goodness you have these pictures, because if you didn't, they'd be like, oh, well, this is all your fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no telling. But the fact that like everything I've read though, where it is really just like everything is in the favor of the steamship line, it's insane. Like, I mean, I think we've looked it up before, but I mean, how much freaking money is made off of one vessel? You know, like, I'm actually gonna look that up. How much profit does
Right. I like
ship
Kip.
line?
Keep them coming, Kip. We need to get Kip on the show. I don't even know who Kip is. You know Kip? I like Kip. We need to get him on the show.
Yeah, I've never met Kip. Kip, be sure to go follow us on LinkedIn or hit us up on Facebook.
But no, I mean, Kip brings up a good point, right? And Kip, let's take it one step further, right? Who's going to cover the cost of a fatality if something happens with that thing when it's going down the road, right? So carriers do a great job of identifying risks, and they don't put themselves or the surrounding people at risk. But you got it on a scale house and it gets
all right,
they
dude.
inspect and it gets taken out for out of service and it's sitting there. You're right. I can tell
All
you
right,
that. Hold on 1 second, Hunter. I can tell you,
sorry.
Kip, that it's 100% going to be on the carrier, right? Because if they gated it out, it's then on them, right? It then becomes their issue because once it leaves the port, everybody just kind of washes their hands with it. Now it's gated out. It's everybody else's issue. Sorry, Hunter. Go ahead.
Oh, so just looking at profitability of a single vessel. So a 23,000 TEU container ship could have a revenue of $34.5 million on one full trip, with a 50% profit margin, about $17.25 million just off one ship. And they're busting your balls about one low boy there, or one RGM they're having to pay for that saved them. And now you're still having to deal with this container. Like, dude, that's what gets me. It is like pure greed with these steamship lines. I just don't understand it. And the processes, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's frustrating. I'm surprised, like, you didn't freaking drive out to XYZ's headquarters here in the U.S. and give them a piece of your mind.
Well, and the crazy part, I mean, it's my customer that's dealing with this, right? I mean, I'm just kind of on the back end figuring
Yeah,
it
but
out.
that sucks, though, dude. That sucks.
For them. I know
Like,
100% does, right? But it's we've talked about detention, we've talked about demurrage, we've talked about chassis, we've talked about a whole bunch of stuff, right? And there's no consistency. There's no consistency between steamship lines of even when it comes to the detention pay, when it comes to the demurrage, and even when it comes to this, because like I said, the last one that we've had was on a different steamship line, and the process seemed to go a whole lot better. And what's crazy is the other one. The issue that we had with the other one was only that the corners of the container were bent. So 3 of the corners were bent so they wouldn't lock. You by law you can only chain one corner of a container if it's damaged. If you have more than one pin that won't lock in, you can't chain on a chassis. You can chain all day long if you're on a flatbed or a lowboy. But on a chassis itself, you can't chain more than one corner. At that point, it has to go on a flatbed. So in this particular one that we had before, 3 corners were bent. So, they had paid for the lowboy to come in. They had paid for the crane to take it off. They had done all that. Now, to your point earlier, when you said who's to blame and who's to fault, right? Was that an easier thing? Maybe they knew that some containers shifted on that vessel. So they knew that, hey, we own this one, and in this case right here, it's not so cut and dry as to who the blame is on. See what Kip's got to say. Oh, did you just pull that up?
Yeah. Kip, are you an intermodal driver, brother? But that's crazy. I wish we could get a video of that. I'd love to see a freaking 53 get snapped in half. But yeah, I mean that's another point though. Like I don't know. There's like so many moving pieces in it. That's the killer right there. But going back talking about your customer, one thing that popped in my mind because I remember when I was working at International, one of the things that I would sell is insurance. Like when that thing is shipping, you got insurance on it. So does your customer cover insurance on these containers when they're coming across the water?
Well, see, that's the other that I don't know.
Okay, I was about to wonder like how that process works because I never had one like go through a claim, but
yeah, and that's what I wonder. Like, is there, do they sell that? And maybe my customer declines those. Who knows? I don't know, right? And
floors are weight rated.
No, the shipper didn't overload. The container was loaded. Sorry, it was loaded for what's rating on the side of the container was actually, it was fine. So I know that part was fine, Kip. I think those.
What is?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was close. it was close. I want to say those go up to like 60,000.
So the weight limit on a maximum gross weight is approximately 67,000 pounds
on a 20.
On a 40, is that a 20? Oh, that is a 20. Shit.
I thought it said. There's a few of them that have different weights on them, but
yeah, I mean, even for a 20, it's 62,000 and some change. But is it? Let's see, a high cube can go up to 67 as well.
Yeah,
but I mean, they're pretty strict on that. Because I mean, even when they're loading it up, like I'm sure the steamship line would have said something. But your customer's you've been working with these cats for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't had, but I mean, again, I think the regulations too, depending on in the U.S. or overseas where these are coming from, right? What's the regulations over there, right? I mean, I know for here, I mean, customers, you bring a container to a customer that looks like it's shitty condition, they're gonna turn these things down all day long. And reject containers that they don't feel safe loading. I mean, there's been times that we've heard of customers that, just loading forklifts on, the forklifts have fallen through, and then they've taken the product they've already loaded off and rejected it and sent customers on their way. I mean, we've heard those horror stories on different forums and stuff. So, but the question too is, what kind of regulations do they have over there? Because I mean, just looking at this container, if I was a carrier at a yard picking up this empty container to go load, I would have never selected this one. I mean, the floor itself had about 17 patch jobs on it, So, yeah, I mean, when you're getting close to that max weight limit of what the container can handle, and you gotta.
I wonder if is that a thing though? Like with the chassis, where you're kind of stuck with your situation at hand. Like, I wonder if that ever happens with the chassis. Like, you just kind of like are dealt the hand you get, because you can only. I mean, you can't just pick up any random container, but.
Well, you can. I mean, here in the States, when you pick up a container in a case like this, where I'm talking about if I'm on the other end of it, where I'm being loaded, right? I'm talking the other end being loaded. Yeah, right now at this end with an import, there's nothing I can do about it, right? I mean, it's.
I'm saying like if you're running export, like you go to you go to pick up your empty from the yard, like you're kind of appointed a container.
No, you're not. No, they drop it down. You inspect them. Like they'll drop it down. We actually get inside them. We stomp around on the floors to make sure the floor is good. We close the doors and make sure there's no sunlight coming in anywhere, indicating that there's holes. And if it passes it, then we go ahead and come out, give the guy a thumbs up, and then he lifts it up. We pull under and they load. So no, you inspect your containers, before you accept it. You just don't have to accept the one that they give you.
That's the Cleveland standard right there, buddy.
Yeah, and I mean, because the last thing you want to do is get to a shipper and, knock on wood. I'm knocking on my desk over here. I mean, we've yet to, have a container rejected. So
Yeah.
but that's the thing. I mean, yeah, but that was kind of my point, bringing it back to like, on the other side of the water. Like, do they have the same standards over there, right? Are those ports over there, are they able to inspect those containers before they pick them up and take them out, or are they just having to grab whatever empties there and go load it, right? The
Yeah. I
standards
mean, if
should
you
be
think about
different
it,
over
man,
there.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, the standards. I mean, it doesn't translate. And who's to say they're like, okay, this is busted up container. Let's send it to USA and let them deal with it. Because everybody hates America, it seems like. But I don't know, dude. That is interesting. That'd be something to look into. But coming over here to Kip's comment, Kip, message us, dude. We would love to have you on the show. Getting a rail driver, that'd be sweet. Would love to hear some of your stories. And then Forrest, thanks for tuning in, brother. We can't see the flags, but USA, the backbone of America. We're talking about the bloodline of the American supply chain right here, which is drayage. But dude, yeah, that is interesting. I would like to look into that a little bit more on over the water.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like,
Yeah, we need to talk to a freight forwarder, man. Like, because those are the cats that deal with it. But then, I don't know. We could go really far into this. We might have to have like a 1 a.m. show and talk to someone over in China. That'd be some.
Yeah, but I mean, I would love to see regulate. I mean, we talk about the movement with just getting containers to truck shows. I mean, take it to a whole nother level of
Oh
being able
yeah,
to get the industry standardized, right? Because I mean, from last free days should be standard across all steamship lines. Demurrage charges should be standard. Detention fees should be standard, and days.
yeah,
Everything should be standard. And in perfect example, talking about this right here, it should be standard practice. If this container shows up damaged to where, if you gate it out, if the driver gates it out, then at that point it's on him, regardless if it's damaged or not. I get it, right? If you get to a shipper and you open up the customer and you open up the container and there's damaged stuff in there, like, you don't know at that point if the driver did something in his travels, right? So, um, it's on them. But when the thing is still at the port and hasn't left the port yet, and it's literally still sitting there, and the port and steamship line need to fight that out. The carrier and the customer shouldn't be involved in that. The he said, she said, who's to blame, blah, blah, blah. That there needs to be a standardized
yeah,
role of somebody in there that says, hey, customer, you're in the clear because it didn't even leave the port. We'll figure out and do our investigation internally, but hey, go ahead and submit your bill to us. We'll go ahead and take care of it. You guys aren't to blame. But again, and I keep going back to this statement. I guess you could say statement that was in the email. It's the cost of doing business and shipping. Is a customer that's importing or exporting containers and importing and exporting goods, is it truly an unnecessary or an unknown cost that should be? Because at the end of the day, all this cost gets transferred to who, Hunter? Who does it get transferred to? Who does the additional cost get transferred to? At the end of the day, it gets transferred to the consumer in some
yeah,
shape, fashion, or form. It gets transferred to the consumer. So if this, this granite right here may have to have a couple $100 more added to it to cut, whatever the case may be, right? At some point, it ends up back in the consumer's wallet. So
yeah,
I can go on and on about regulation and trying to streamline it and trying to just keep it even and fair across the board. But again, I'll ask the question I asked at the beginning of it: who's to blame in this? Is it And then Kip raises a good point, right? What was his question, right? Because sounds like he overloaded it, right? Floor's overloaded. Sounds like maybe the shipper or what? You know, who's to blame? Is it the shipper? Is it the consumer on this side of it, the consumer on that side of it, or the shipper on that side of it? The steamship line, the port, right? Everybody can just sit there with their fingers and point.
yeah. We're about to get in a rabbit hole. I can just feel it, dude. Because like this is definitely going to be a nice series to have.
All of our conversations go down some kind of rabbit hole here lately.
I know, but I mean, dude, but it's like, but see, like when I think about this stuff, man, like it's like just port Dray, just like, yeah, it is like a massive piece of the the logistics economy, like our industry, but like But it seems like it's still small enough, dude, where like this could be like one of the most easily tackled things out there. Like why are we not putting our foot down to take care of our U.S. drivers, man? Take care of our ports. Like we're just letting these foreign entities just walk all over us consistently, and like nobody's paying attention to it. And like I forget who it was, but we were talking about getting like some of these drayage carriers and stuff, representing truck shows and stuff. They're like they don't care, man. They're regional. They're like 2-3 truck operations just trying to get by. Just scraping, making some money. Putting food on the table, and they're just not big enough. Like nobody like really has that bark. Or nobody has that bite to the bark.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's really sad, dude. Like it's just overlooked, overshadowed. I mean, and we've talked about it before, man. It's like the drayage industry is like just like 15 years behind trucking. With technology at the ports, like. That's right. It's granted. Never take things for granted. But I don't know, man. This is honestly crazy. So like what? So have y'all gotten rid of the container, or are you still?
Oh yeah, no, container's done. I mean, container was unloaded that day, which was last Tuesday.
And what do you do with that?
And then we brought the other one back. I mean, we brought it back when it was damaged. They just brought it back to the port empty. At that point, it was empty. We can haul it. It's no big deal, right? At that point, it's empty. There's not 55,000 pounds in there. But yeah, I mean, they just brought it back to the port. They stuck it in some pile, and at this point, it could have got put back on a steamship line and sent back. It could be in a pile that's maybe it's being fixed at the port. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know it didn't go back in its normal stack.
I mean, dude, that container looks freaking. I mean, that thing's battered. Like, why is that not being decommissioned? Like,
and it could have been. I mean, it really did surprise us when we pinned it to go back that we didn't get a message from the steamship line, or that it said like bring it to like one of these offsite, areas, like Container Maintenance or Con Global or one of those that usually take these and decommission them or do something. So, but maybe they needed to inspect it more as they looked at the claim. I'm not really sure, but yeah, we did that later on that evening. Actually, it was the next morning. It was actually returned back to port. So no, containers unloaded. The granite's safe and sound in the customer's warehouse, and surprisingly, thankfully, none of it was actually damaged. We were a little bit concerned about that corner over there because when they lifted this with the crane, you could see corners of the actual granite. That's how far the floor separated. But thankfully, none of it was damaged. So product wise, we were good. They took that was literally their only container. Normally they unload like 3 containers a day. This was literally the only container they unloaded that whole day. So warehouse, took extra caution to make sure that the team was safe and everything was safe, unloading it and stuff like that. So they had some extra forklifts on the side. So they did a great job of safety for their employees. Our makeshift ramp was great, worked fantastic. And yeah, containers been returned. So now it's just trying to figure out, how much they want to cover the cost, the additional cost of moving this container.
Well, definitely got to keep us posted on that. I know this will be a continuing thing, but it's still just mind-boggling. But
yeah, who's to blame? The question becomes, who's to blame?
Who is to blame? Yeah, that'll be the series name. Who's to blame? The drayage junkies take on the world. But
I will tell you, in the drayage industry, you have your standardized drayage carriers that will run, that have chassis and run the normal stuff. But to have these key guys in your pocket when stuff like this comes up with the right tools is key. And again, I got to give thanks to our friend Out of Gauge, Mike, with UCW and the Out of Gauge project. Great guy, and he was very instrumental in making sure that he appointed us to the right guy. And Warren took care of us, and got it there safely. And he stayed right there with us as we created our makeshift dock. And yeah, great guy. And he had some extra. So he had some extra chains and some extra. So what we did, pull that picture back up again. So you got the long ramp, and then you have the other dock ramp that's on top. if you go close to the actual container, right, you see the long ramp, and then on the top of it actually has the regular dock plate that would be on the warehouse. So underneath, in between those two, there's actually a chain that holds, because as soon as you want to start driving up that ramp, first thing that's going to want to happen is the nose of that's going to want to lift up. So it's actually chained underneath to the RGN. So that whole setup right there did not move. Nothing moved on that thing. It was chained to the both ramps were chained to the RGN. The top deck was actually, or the top wrap was actually chained inside to the container itself. So that thing was as solid as running it off a regular dock ramp anyway. That thing did not move.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
very smart, though.
Because when we first put it down, when we started going up, the front of it up against the container wanted to start lifting up a little bit. As we started driving the forklift up, so Warren, our driver, actually had some extra chains in his truck, so he came equipped and made sure we had the right tools there to secure this thing. So
Heck yeah! Well, shout out to Warren, man, and out of gauge Mike. That's cool. Getting to help you out there and get all this done. But
yeah, out of gauge Mike is very useful, and he's just a great guy, man. You call him, he's right there to help you. He knows a lot of people and he's got a lot of cool tools.
dude, we should definitely get him back on next week if he can and talk about this same thing, but like in his sector. And like, I mean, he's been in this business for a long time, so I bet he'd have some good insight and maybe even talk about, how that, get that conversation started about what the process is overseas. Because, all we get is an email. Like, if you work with a freight forwarder directly, they're going to be like, all right, yeah, it's leaving, but you don't know who's picking it up, who's loading it, who's going to get the containers, who's getting those chassis, like what their insurance process is, like what their, inspections look like, the standards, man. Because who knows? Like, this could just be like, oh, yep, busted up container. That's their problem.
I mean, if you go online and actually look, I mean, actually the one that I actually posted on LinkedIn for the actual talking about the show, I just Googled damaged container, and that tan MSC one is the one that popped up. But I mean, yeah, you look at some of these things, they're pretty rough, and sometimes the customer will still take the product that's in there, depending on what's in there. And you see some of them at the port that come off these things that are they're in hell of condition. So, but yeah, that's that's why we didn't have our show last week. We were dealing with that, but I just thought it was a great topic to talk about. I was hoping and I appreciate Kip, 100% appreciate you for chiming in with your insight, and Forrest as well. Was hoping for a little bit more engagement, just to see if some people that have actually dealt with these before from a claim standpoint, and maybe what what to expect next. But maybe we'll get some more of those in the
I feel like we'll get some on the back end, and this will honestly be good for us to, like, I mean, I'll start asking around on LinkedIn. We're in that one Dray group, and start asking around, because I mean, this is crazy. Like, so maybe you can make another one of your famous Dirty Dray posts that gets millions of views. But well, good stuff, man. Well, yeah, we're getting about to that hour point. So, what you get? What you got? Any exiting comments, concerns, plugs? What you got going on?
Sorry, I had a text come through. No, not really. Obviously check out your. Don't forget to go and check out truckingnewshub.com and click on the link and help out our friend Redneck Trucker, and hopefully be able to rebuild, get another truck, get back on the road, and get him back to what he does best, which is hauling freight. And if you know Redneck Trucker, making us all laugh, that's him, man. So yeah, but that's it for me. And then obviously, let's not forget our buddy Clint with Shoreline Capital. This load actually was factored as well through Shoreline Capital. So we appreciate them and everything they do. And if you want to be treated like family, go go connect with Clint and his team over at ShorelineCapital.com, and they're a great group of people. They really are, and I'm thankful that you guys brought us over to them and connected us, because factoring for me was an absolute freaking nightmare before I met Shoreline. So
The factoring family with the family factor.
there you go.
For all your factoring, and it's a sure thing with Shoreline. That's just the keynote right there. But
What about you? You got any closing comments? I'm glad you look like you're feeling better. You look a whole lot different even from when you first got on the call.
Yeah, well, I told you, man. There's an energy around getting on the live, man. It's get my gears turning, get me over the sickness. Don't eat steak nachos from sketchy Mexican restaurants. That's all I can tell you. But dude, all right. Backing it up, dude. I think ever since we went to Bristol, me and Mexican food, like after that carnitas, it just hasn't sat the same, man.
Actually, it was before that. It was before that. It actually started at the Shady Place in Kentucky.
The Italian Mexican restaurant.
Italian Mexican restaurant with a turnstile door. It started there. Because you were
the kicker to that place was when they brought out the chips and salsa, and they gave us like this much salsa, and then made us wait another 45 minutes for our food. That was nuts.
You dipped 3 chips, and your salsa ball was gone, and then they made you wait 45 minutes to bring you some more salsa.
Yeah, but next year at Matt's, we definitely got to go back. I'm not eating there, but I'm just going to go back to make sure that was real and not just some fever dream nightmare.
Hey, when we go back next year, that place will be a fireworks store.
Dude, I hope so. Because, like, if I know anything, man, you and I are pretty patient. You know, we're chill dudes, man. But, like, bro, 45 minutes to get a water and a couple tacos. Like, I think we were there for like 2 hours, man. Like, got one refill. But, yeah, and we were in that back corner, dude. Yeah, that's another thing, too. When we got in the back and, like, there's those people sitting there like, oh, we're not alone.
They've been sitting there already for 2 hours.
Oh man, but
we should have stopped. We should have just kept turning on the turnstile. But you figure it started there, and then we all got sick at Bristol at that Mexican restaurant. Yeah, we gotta change our.
So I'll stick with my one. I call it shitty Mexican, man. It's just my classic Cinco de Mayo that I've been going to since I was a kid. I've never got sick from that. But
hey, you picked
other than that,
you picked a good place at the steakhouse we went to in Crossville, yeah, for that for semi-casual. You picked a good one there. Nobody felt good when they left that one.
Yeah, it took a while, dude. I was fighting sleep on the way back, dude. That freaking steak and potato, and that was a good place. The Vegas Steakhouse in Crossville, Tennessee. We should have made a reservation. That's what I told you. I was like, man, this is like the to do on a Saturday night in Crossville. But everybody tune into the lounge this week. I haven't seen what shows we have going on, but the conversation today, I think, was I hate that you're going through the situation, but you know, these are just things that are being brought to light. Like it can be anybody. And
you see the containers moving up and down the road. You don't realize what's in them, what people are with to get them to the customer, and what happens when they're damaged.
Yep. So, but yeah, if anybody's just tuning in now, and you have something to add to it, contact us on LinkedIn, Facebook, on our personal pages, wherever. Come talk to us, because this is, you know, like Steve said, we joke about the Drayage movement and truck shows and stuff, but it really is bringing to light a lot of the flaws in one of the biggest parts of our supply chain here domestically. So everybody that did tune in, thank you so much. Kip, if you're still here, brother, do hit us up. I would love to talk to you, Steve and I, like get you on the show, man. Because if you, number one, I want to hear that story about that chassis getting busted in half. But I mean, that's another thing. Like, there are just, once again, so many factors, so many moving pieces, so many hands in the cookie jar for one single container. And who's to blame? Who's to blame? We'll find out next week, I reckon, or at least start getting to it. So thank everybody once again for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, comment. Go to truckandnewshub.com. If you can't give to Redneck Trucker, at least share the post. If you don't know the guy, go to his TikTok, Instagram. Some of it's not safe for work, nothing crazy, but he's an all around good guy.
He's
And
just a redneck trucker.
He is just a redneck trucker. I mean, he like did so much for me and Pedro when we first started up the lounge. I mean, I remember going to truck shows and freaking dude hauling me around and like introducing us to all the right people and giving us tips and everything. So I mean, just a very selfless person, and I mean, a great guy to know. So once again, trucknewshub.com. It's got that GoFundMe. And shout out to the girls from UCI, United Commercial Insurance, Jessica and Natasha, and Jamie and all the others over there. And even old Pedro Potato's wife, old Cat. She's a part of that family too. So just great people. And it's just one of those things, man. Outside of even just the lounge media group collective of friends, I mean, it's the brotherhood camaraderie. And yeah, we're all in it. We're all mental for working in this industry. So yeah, you gotta keep everybody afloat. So thank you once again for tuning in. We will see y'all next Tuesday at 12 o'clock Central Time sharp. I will be moved in. Steve will be done with his container nonsense, and we will be packed, ready, and full of some information. And we're just going to keep on trucking on. So we'll see y'all next week. Stay junky. Kick them cans. If you crush those cans, make sure you make the claims right. And who's to blame for that? We'll find out. See you next